Good morning. Today we will learn about organs of speech. So the first question that comes to our mind is, how do we make speech sounds? See, when we breathe out from the lungs, various organs in the vocal tract control or modify the air streams to convert it into speech sounds. Now, these organs are called the vocal organs or the organs of speech. So, the production of speech sounds is not the primary function of these vocal organs, as they are used for more important tasks such as breathing, eating, etc. So, we can classify the organs of speech into three systems. The first one is the respiratory system. The second is the phonatory system. The third is the articulatory system. Next, we will see the articulatory system, the respiratory system, and the phonatory system in detail. So the first part is the respiratory system. So as you see in the picture, it comprises of the lungs, the muscles of the chest, and the windpipes. So the lungs will always be filled with air. When the muscles of the lungs contract, all the air that is stored in the lungs is pushed out. Now this airstream, it passes through the windpipe and reaches the mouth or the oral cavity. Again, when the chest muscles expand, the lungs will once again get filled with air. This process continues automatically. Now in this manner, the pulmonic airstream coming from the lungs is made use of for the articulation of speech sounds. So the function here is, the function of the respiratory system is that it provides the airstream that is required for the articulation of speech sounds. Next, we will look into what the phonatory system is. So, the term phonation means conversion of a sound into either unvoiced or voiced. Now, this is being done by the vocal cord situated inside the larynx. So, if you look into the picture, you can see there are vocal cords there. So, if the vocal cords are placed closely, that is, if they are loosely held, the air from the lungs is pushed out and this produces voiced sounds. So, now, in contrast to this, if the vocal cords are wide apart, then what happens? It permits a block of air to pass very freely. And sounds produced in this manner are known as unvoiced or voiceless sounds. Now, examples of voiceless sounds are, you have the sound p as it is pronounced in the word pen. Then you have t as it is pronounced in the word 10. Whereas you have voiced sounds like b, d, g, w. All the vowel sounds of English are voiced sounds. That is, the vocal cords are placed very close and the vocal cords vibrate. Now we'll look into a pictorial representation of how the vocal cords are placed. Now see in this diagram, it is very clearly stated, right? You can see that there is a gap in the first picture, that is, the vocal cords are wide apart. Now the air flows very easily through this gap and you have voiceless sounds. Whereas in the next picture you can see that the vocal cords are placed very close to each other. Now the air, when it passes through this closely held vocal cords, what happens? It vibrates. In this way you have the voiced sounds. Next is the articulatory system. Now, the articulatory system consists of the lower jaw and the various speech organs situated in the upper jaw. The upper jaw is also known as the roof of the mouth. The lower jaw is movable, whereas the upper jaw is fixed. Now, the articulatory system, it comprises of the lips, the teeth ridge, the hard palate, the soft palate, the uvula, epiglottis, pharynx, and the tongue. So, when the soft palate is raised, the nasal passage is closed. As a result of which, the air escapes through the oral cavity, which produces the oral sounds. Whereas, during the production of some sounds, the nasal passage is opened and the air escapes through nose. And these sounds are known as nasal sounds. Now this picture you can see you have this lower lip, you have the upper lip. From there you have the upper teeth, the lower row of teeth. Immediately after that you have this alveolar ridge. From there, if you move slowly backwards, this is the hard palate region and this is the soft palate region. So when the soft palate comes down, what happens? The air from this place, it moves through the nasal cavity and it reaches and passes through the nose, producing the nasal sounds. And if the soft palate is raised, it moves here and it closes this area. And then what happens? The airstream from this place, it moves through the oral cavity and you have oral sounds. You have only 3 nasal sounds, that is m, n and ng. And the other 41 sounds are oral sounds. So here you have the larynx. From here, see the airstream, it moves towards the pharynx. Okay, and then finally you have a cup-like structure over here, which is epiglottis, and then here you have the tongue. Now these are the different speech organs. Now all these organs play vital role in producing each and every sound. The first important organ of speech is the lips. So you have a lower lip situated in the lower jaw and the upper lip situated in the upper jaw. Now the lower lip is movable, whereas the upper lip is fixed. And sounds articulated with the help of the lips are known as bilabial sounds. And the example of bilabial sounds are p, b. So when you pronounce the sound, you'll find that you use lips to produce those 2 sounds. The next is the teeth. So again, you have 2 rows of teeth, one seen in the lower jaw and the other in the upper jaw. And the sounds that you make, or the sounds that are formed at the teeth, are known as dental sounds. They are th, d. Then you have the teeth ridge or alveolar ridge. Now, the teeth ridge is also known as alveolar ridge. The word is derived from the Latin word alveolum, which means teeth ridge. So, the teeth ridge is actually the convex bony part seen just below the upper row of teeth. This area actually covers the root of the teeth. So sounds formed at the teeth ridge are known as alveolar sounds. And examples are t, d, n. After that, you have the hard palate. Now, the hard palate is seen below the teeth ridge in the roof of the mouth. It is a concave bony surface and only the sound y is produced and it is known as palatal sound. And after that we have the soft palate. Now, the soft palate is also known as velum. The soft palate is the fleshy part seen below the hard palate in the roof of the mouth. The extremity of the soft palate is known as uvula. Now, uvula is not very important as a vocal organ, but it helps us to swallow food. So the soft palate functions like a valve. It can be raised or lowered. If the soft palate is raised, the nasal cavity will get blocked and all the air escapes through the oral cavity. In this manner, we have oral sounds. Whereas, if the soft palate is kept lowered, the nasal cavity is opened and the airstream goes to the nasal cavity and escapes through the nose. Sounds formed in this manner is known as, or we call them as nasal sounds. The closing and the opening of the nasal cavity by raising and lowering the soft palate is known as velic closing and velic opening. After that, you have the epiglottis, which is a cup-like hanging seen in the throat. Now again, it is not very important from the point of view of phonetics, but the epiglottis prevents the food particles from entering into the windpipe. After this, you have the pharynx, which is the upper part of the windpipe. And finally, we have the tongue. The tongue is a very important speech organ. It is movable. The tongue can be brought to different directions. It can be pulled forwards, can be curled backwards, and can be brought to both the sides. Now, for the purpose of our study, we will divide the tongue into three. Now, the extremity of the tongue is known as the tip or point. After that, you have the blade of the tongue. Now, further, you can divide the tongue into the front, the middle, and the back part. The tip and the blade of the tongue together is known as the apex of the tongue. So, this is how we classify the different organs of speech. I hope you have understood the organs of speech. So, we divided it in the beginning into the respiratory system, phonatory system, and articulatory system. And the phonatory system helps us to identify the voiced and unvoiced sounds. Later, we have seen the articulatory system, which consisted of the lips, the teeth ridge, hard palate, the soft palate, epiglottis, pharynx, and the tongue. I hope you have understood the different organs of speech. Thank you.